Hello and welcome back to Simple Money Podcast, Canada's own personal finance podcast presented in short and informative episodes. I'm your host, Matthew Seawick, also known as the Friendly Financial Coach. Today, we're going to continue our discussion on investing by looking at some of the most popular and accessible investments. We'll also be looking at when to use them and their income tax and estate implications. First, we're going to cover savings accounts and guaranteed investment certificates, also known as GICs. Next week, we'll be looking at mutual funds and exchange-traded funds. So savings accounts and GICs are unique in their level of security and income predictability. The investment returns are typically known when you enter the investment contract, and also these investments are covered by deposit insurance. In other words, they are some of the lowest risk investments out there. Understanding when and when not to use these investments can help support your investment goals in unique situations. Also, understanding estate and income tax situations can help save your hard-earned money and cut down on household financial stresses. As mentioned, both options are typically covered by deposit insurance. This means that if your investment institution fails, your deposits are protected to a limit. At the big federal banks, you're covered by something called GIC insurance, which covers your deposits up to $100,000 each for your individual and any joint holdings. Credit unions are covered by rules in your province. For example, deposits are covered up to $250,000 by GICO in Ontario. Deposit insurance is a very big benefit that savings accounts and GICs that are 5 years and under have. Mutual funds, exchange-traded funds, and more are not covered by deposit insurance. Focusing on savings accounts, we have one of the simplest options available, and that's what makes it so great. The big benefit with savings accounts are that your money is easy to access, it's safe, and can also be made joint with other account holders. Anyone can open up a savings account at a financial institution of their choice and start earning interest almost immediately. Savings accounts typically also have low risk involved and therefore have lower returns. However, you can receive attractive rates if you shop around. The major Canadian banks typically have low returns, but online options and credit unions offer much more. As of today, the best consistent rate on a savings account is through EQ Bank, who is currently offering 2.3% annual interest. Deciding when to use a savings account is very important. It's vital to recognize that funds that are in a savings account can generate higher returns in the long run if they are invested in other areas. Savings accounts are best used for emergency funds, short-term financial goals, wanting to have liquidity to take advantage of investment opportunities, looking for stability when beginning a business, if you're risk adverse, or when there's general financial instability. All income generated from savings accounts is 100% taxable and will be charged at your marginal tax bracket. This can, however, be avoided or deferred if you use a registered product like a tax-free savings account or a registered retirement savings plan. Savings accounts also offer large estate benefits. Funds that are sitting in joint savings accounts can avoid all estate proceedings if they are set up as being joint with another account holder with rights of survivorship. So GICs are more complicated than savings accounts, but they are similar in security. Essentially, when you sign up for a GIC, you are agreeing to a contract with certain characteristics. The biggest factors are how much money is being contributed, for how long, and what your rate is. You will also need to decide if you can take these funds out or if the funds are locked in for the period of the contract. This is known as redeemable or non-redeemable GICs. Typically, there's a minimum deposit required of $500 for GICs, and then you'll have to determine for how long you want to invest these funds. You'll find that you'll typically receive a higher rate if you invest your funds for a longer period of time. The most common non-redeemable time period ranges from 6 months to 5 years. The rate that you receive will also typically be set when you sign up for the contract, although there are variable rate options. The rate that's quoted to you is an annual rate, and the proceeds can usually be set up to pay out every year or kept inside the GIC to compound. To receive the full amount of interest, you will be required to hold the GIC until its maturity date. If you don't, then you may sacrifice some interest or possibly even incur a penalty. It's important to completely understand the conditions of your GIC before you sign up for it. A big insider trick is the rate that's currently being offered to you is negotiable. When I was issuing GICs, we were able to offer up to an extra 0.5 percentage point if we wanted to. And if you know me, I was essentially giving it to everybody. As with savings accounts, you can receive higher rates if you shop outside of the major financial institutions. Credit unions and online options have GICs with rates that range from about 2% to 3.5%. The 3.5% is for non-redeemable 5-year GICs. It's important to point out that some savings accounts will actually offer a higher interest rate than what other GICs that are locked in will pay. So it's important to shop around. The big benefits for GICs is that they're low risk and they offer guaranteed growth. The downsides are that they have low growth and also can have low liquidity. GICs have similar estate protection features as savings accounts. Funds can bypass estates if an account is set up as being joint with rights of survivorship. All income generated by GICs is also 100% taxed at your marginal tax bracket, even if you don't receive it until the term is done. The financial institution will determine what your annual interest rate is, and that is the amount that you'll be taxed on. So for example, if you have a 5-year GIC that pays interest at the end of the term, you will still have to pay income taxes for each one of the years that you have that investment. Of course, this can be avoided if a GIC is opened up in a registered account. So that's it for today's episode, but next week we're going to dig into some interesting stuff, specifically mutual funds and exchange traded funds. These are some of the hottest investments around, so tune in next week where we talk more about this. Thanks again for listening to Simple Money. If you have any questions or have any episode suggestions, you can reach me by email at info@ffcoach.ca, or you can find me on Twitter at @f_f coach. Take care and talk to you next week.